back to Monarch Mindz. I'm Jess.
Welcome back to Monarch Mindz. I'm Damien.
So we got some interesting and I think insightful things to talk about this show, especially when it comes to rehabs and projects and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit about scope of works.
Yeah, scope of work. That's definitely important.
SOW, right?
Mm-hmm.
For short. That's the acronym for scope of
Yeah,
work.
scope of work, yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about scope of works and just kind of how to protect yourself when it comes to rehabs and projects and stuff like that.
Yes.
In the industry. And then we're going to talk a little bit about crypto.
Yeah,
I know
it's a
some
little
things
bit
are
going
happening
on.
in crypto too. So
Yeah, it's going pretty good out there too.
So Damien, you were telling me some sort of story about you guys wanting to taking on a project that's more, was it European style?
Yes. So the house that we're building at the Ranch Club, the owner was here. We were going over everything, and I booked it out as just a regular American house.
Right.
You know, American features. You know, carpet, some, stone. You know, just really American vibe. You know what you're used to in a nice home. And during our discussion, he let me know that no, it was supposed to be more European.
So what does that mean?
It means more money. That's but what it means is a lot of it is just you have different floors. You know, a lot of times it's usually more of a glossy floor. You know, it's a tile. Tile usually goes throughout the house.
Right.
They may have 2 or 3 different tiles, but they do match up. Even the way you kind of like put them together. Also, maybe some of your door trim, a lot of your cabinets will be different. So a lot of it is your trim out will be different, and you know, like your ceilings, and it's just different way where like on the ceilings we might put a texture. Usually in a lot of European places you don't really see a whole lot of texture.
Right.
You see just mostly smooth walls, and that's about it. And then the fixtures, especially the fixtures for the bathrooms, are usually different. Some of the tubs and the style of tubs are different.
Right.
So it is a different vibe, and you know you have to think about it different, and especially your materials, and that's where a lot of the extra cost comes in, because now I'm tiling the whole house.
Right.
I'm using different tile. You have to use different patterns to all make it cohesive. So that's a very, very big difference just from even a traditional or even a modern American home.
So now, have you guys started looking at samples, flooring, and stuff like that yet?
That's what we'll probably do in the next week or two. Start looking at flooring, because now we have to go ahead and order and make sure we have all the flooring in, and that we have all the transitions, and that we're ready to order the cabinets. And I'm not even sure about the windows, because Europe has a very different window type versus American. A lot of times they have like an open window. The whole window will either open to the right or to the left, and then a lot of times they can fall down and vent a little from the top.
Right, I've seen those.
Yeah, so where most American windows are just
lift up and down. Right.
So, and if he is talking about windows as well, I mean, you're talking about it could be a 2 to 3 month lead time.
Right.
Just to get those type of windows in. So,
but now, will the Jacksonville Ranch Club approve those windows?
Yes, they will. Well, what we need to do is go back and look at the drawings and make sure what type were called out.
Right.
And if they were, then we may have to change it and get a different little pre-approval. But then also we have to make sure that the windows, if they are going to be some type of European windows, that they can work in Florida. Because Florida has that product approval code where everything has to be tested and just all kinds of craziness.
Right.
So yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
and costly, it seems like.
Costly, and that was the thing when we wrote the statement of work. That was not a part of it. It was just, okay, we're doing regular cabinets. We're just gonna do this and do that. and now we have to go back. So now we have to change up and go back and go through the scope of work to make sure that it has everything new, and we have to delete anything before. So
Right.
that's why scope of work is important
And scope of work should be done at the beginning
at the very beginning.
or before you even start, perhaps.
Usually, a lot of times, I always suggest, especially if it's new construction, to kind of do your scope of work before you start your architect. So you can know, like, okay, this is what I want. These are the features. You know, this is the look, the feel, everything. So when your architect starts drawing it, then you can say, okay, yeah, that's not right, or that's not like how we have it in the scope of work.
So, and basically the scope of work is outlining everything that is kind of going into the project,
Yeah,
whether it's, new construction, or pre-existing, and you're
especially
rehabbing.
pre-existing. With rehabbing, you definitely want to have a scope of work, because I know with yours, you have a scope of work, right?
Yep, I do have a scope of work.
Okay.
And mine is just minor for the 4-bedroom brick house that I'm buying.
4-bedroom brick.
Yep. So basically, I'm just going in and making minimal repairs
Okay.
and doing some landscaping, exterior work,
Okay.
and also repiping the house too.
Okay. Well, now, if you have a lender, especially, don't they want to see that scope of work? Or,
Oh yeah.
no? Okay.
Yep, they sure do. Especially if they're funding the rehab.
They're funding the rehab.
part
Okay.
two, which mine is. So basically, what I do is I think about. You have to really sit down and think about what your plans are for the property.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You have to make time
Yeah.
to do that.
Mhm.
So I made time to do that, and basically because this is going to be a rental property,
Okay.
and I plan on using the BRRRR strategy, which is to buy, rehab, refinance, and repeat.
All right.
You
I love
know.
that repeat part.
I don't want to sink a whole lot of money into this house.
Okay.
Because I want to be able to pull some out when I do a cash out refinance to
Okay.
go buy another property. So basically, I'm trying to keep repairs minimal and
Okay,
just do
I can see
what
that.
I need to do.
Yeah.
Especially with the purpose that this home is going to serve, which
Yeah.
is going to be like a boarding house or a rooming house, whatever
Okay.
you want to call it. So I'm keeping it minimal, but I did set some time aside to figure out like what I wanted to do to the house.
Okay.
So those things that I mentioned, I think repiping is like the biggest thing on there.
Oh, yeah.
So I itemize. It's basically an itemized list of everything that I plan on doing to the property. People do add in material costs.
Yes, you definitely need to do that.
Yep, I added in my material costs, my labor costs, which are estimates. But I like to overestimate versus kind of lowball myself.
Yeah. Because you don't want to have to go back, And I've seen it happen where, you underestimate something and you go back, and now, like material is more expensive.
Right.
Especially nowadays. Well, that's a good point. That's, believe it or not, on one of our constructions, we have redone the budget like 2 or 3 times. And that has included from when the prices went all the way up, then they came back down, then depending on some of the material, we actually changed it.
Right.
So then our scope of work and estimate changed as well for some of them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I think the big picture in this is to basically use this as a budget. Your scope of work.
Yeah, I usually start off with the scope of work. So now, how do you start off with the major items, or how do you usually start off your scope of work?
So basically, I break mine up. I break it up based on rooms,
Oh, okay.
bedrooms.
right.
What else? I break it up based on flooring.
Okay.
Bathrooms, what's going to be needed for the bathrooms, what's going to be
Alright.
needed for the kitchen. And then I do like a miscellaneous section for
yeah.
like maybe light kits or fans.
Light kit, yeah.
Or lock kits, lock sets. And maybe like an exterior section.
Oh, okay.
Where
yeah.
I set money aside for like landscaping, cutting down
definitely.
trees.
Oh, those trees are expensive.
Like every little thing that I can
Think of,
yeah. Painting.
Difference. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so I kind of break it up based on room.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it broken up differently.
Yeah. Well, I kind of do it like that, but I break mine up. I usually start with the electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. and then from there I'll start breaking it into smaller details,
Right.
like my bathrooms, my kitchens, then like maybe my flooring, my painting, maybe any trim work that I do, and then I definitely go outside and look at the trees and any of the exterior, especially if I have to do landscape. And I always put money in there for landscape because you know you want to make sure the property is beautiful when people see that curb appeal.
Right.
Yeah, so when you pull up like, oh, it's nice, instead of putting them like, nah, keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I've seen some houses where I pulled up and like, nah, let's keep going. We ain't even got to stop.
Yeah.
And the house might have been nice inside, but
The outside just didn't look.
yeah,
that
the
right.
outside didn't give you that like, oh, let me go take a look. This is home.
This could be home.
This could be home.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of do mine like yours too. When you mentioned the plumbing, electrical, I do break that down too if it's needed.
Yeah.
If I don't need it, it's not on the scope of work. So,
No.
Because I'm sending it to my lender, I try to keep it pretty
easy for them.
pretty easy for them to read.
Yeah, because you know if you give too much, they ask too many questions, and then you know too many questions can be a pain sometimes.
And I know with my lender, especially for financing, like your rehab budget cannot exceed the purchase price of the house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now do they do like it's some type of formula with a loan to value and a purchase price, and they have some kind of formula?
They
that
do
use?
have some sort of formula that they use.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good then.
But I haven't had those issues, so I really haven't had to run anything like that.
Well, no, you got a good deal on it, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. Yeah.
And I think that's the big thing is I think a lot of people out there when they're doing rehabs or new construction or even just a little lipstick on a pig, you still should put something down on paper, some scope of work. So, you know, and I know a lot of times I've even had to get detailed depending on if I'm sending it out to like my plumber or 2 or 3 different plumbers or whatever else. I may take the scope of work and separate it and then send something to them so they can know, okay, like I want you to replace all the fixtures. That's included in your price. And sometimes I've even sent them like, you know, the type of fixtures I was looking for.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Because like I know gold, like I guess it's gold or whatever. It's kind of the in thing now.
It is. Gold.
The
matte
gold.
blacks.
Yeah, matte blacks.
Yeah.
So, you know, I send and say, I want the gold, you know, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Then that way they can say, yeah, or we can discuss it. And then, you know, if I already know where I want to get it from or what I want, I may just say, well, you know, do everything else except for the fixtures.
Right.
And I'll provide the fixtures. But I think a lot of times if you have that type of stuff in your scope of work, you can get a real good price and everybody kind of knows what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. And I like what you said. Basically being as detailed as possible.
Oh yeah.
So that the contractor gets an idea. And then when you are creating your scope of work, like the price section may be blank.
Oh yeah.
But your items in the boxes that you know fill in, they're going to be descriptive, right, of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So you're not going to, but you can send out your scope of work to multiple contractors.
Yes.
And that way you can get the pricing from these different contractors.
Yeah.
So the more people you send out your scope of work to, the more prices you'll have on the rehab work.
Yeah, and I think it helps, you know, then that way when I get the pricing back, I know for me, I can put it all together in my little spreadsheet and you know, give a good comparison of, you know, what everybody's going to give me. And then, you know, then at that time for me, I can decide like, okay, well, I'm going to take this portion out and then I'll get the material or I'll do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I like doing scope of works. I know they can be time consuming, and maybe, you know, all of my projects have not been like super extensive, so I don't mind doing them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like being able to sit there and think about all the things that I want to change about a property.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
And maybe everything doesn't get changed right away.
That's true.
But now I have a list of everything that I would like to change.
Oh, okay.
Or, you know.
So then with the scope of work, you could pick and choose what you wanted to do at what times.
Right.
All right, I can see that. Yeah.
Right, because, you know, some things can be rolled out in phases, right?
Oh, that's true.
Especially with the property that I'm buying. You know, maybe I created a long scope of work for the property, but I do it in certain phases that are kind of based on cash flow.
Yes.
So I'm doing the important
An
things.
important word.
Cash flow. So I'm taking care of the important stuff first, like the repiping. Like the repiping is number one on my list.
Okay.
I'm not gonna have tenants if my pipes are not functioning.
Yeah, because if one goes in the night, boy, it can ruin the house and definitely ruin that cash flow. Because then they don't want to. Oh,
they don't want to pay
for 3 days. It was like what?
Yeah, I need to be compensated or put in a hotel or whatever.
All kinds of craziness. So. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so repiping, get your repiping done. Now, what's next? What else after? So you have some other things that you're gonna do.
Right, like painting.
Okay.
And probably like I'm planning on keeping the carpet.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I'm planning on keeping the hallway carpet.
Oh, okay.
But there's carpet in one of the bedrooms that I'll probably get rid of.
Okay.
So like removing the carpet, that's added. I added that to my scope of work.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
I have to show an example so that they can kind of see like what
What's
a scope of work looks like. Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, I mean, so now you don't always have to do a super detailed scope of work.
You don't always have to do a super detailed one. It can be short, but just prepare to provide detail if detail needs to be given. Okay. I'd rather provide the detail up front. Even though it could be a little, you're cramming things into the boxes, right? Kind of at that point, if you're getting too descriptive on things, keep it to a minimum if you can, but be descriptive to a certain extent, just so that the contractor knows you want gold finishes versus brass.
Oh yeah.
So
because that'll be a big difference, especially as you're ordering stuff, or if you have somebody that is. Helping you with the house, helping do a design, and you guys discussed it. Then you have gold, now you have brass.
Right.
So it takes away a little bit. Okay.
And you just mentioned someone helping you with the design.
Oh yeah.
So nowadays there are actual designers, right?
Yeah.
You can hire someone, from your local community who does home design. Or you can, go to Floor & Decor or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And have a designer there help you.
Yeah.
So there's a cost to those things, right? Might want to add that to the scope of work so you can factor that into your budget.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I definitely try to have all that in there. And then also, if I do have a design person and we're working with them, I also have them like go over the scope of work to make sure I haven't missed anything or. Everything is within the design scope that we talked about.
Right.
So, I mean, just like on the this European house now, I'm definitely going to have to go back and talk to somebody and, go over some of the design features that we probably didn't think about from the beginning. So, yeah, that's one of those things. You live and you learn.
You do. But that's why you write it all out, that way you don't miss anything. So that's another important thing about scope of work too. If you're following like an itemized list, especially if you have it kind of written out in the form of a timeline, what you should be working on, as things are progressing. It helps you, not lose focus of certain things that you're working on.
Helps you not lose focus. And then also it helps you if you have to provide something. So like if you have to provide the faucets or the handles or something for the kitchen or whatever it is that you have to provide, it gives you a time of when it needs to be there.
Right.
Then you can back it up to say, okay, when do I need to order it? And I know for me, I always like to order stuff and have it there a couple weeks ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'd rather have a storage place.
Yeah.
And pay $100, $200 a month and have it there, than versus not having it and then having to delay my contractors, and now there's more money or I have to push them out, and sometimes when you stop these guys from working on the house,
will they come back? Will they come back? Will they get busy with another job?
And that's what happens. They get busy with another job. And now you're on the back burner, and now your house is just running up time and money.
Right.
So
scope of works, they definitely help with planning. Definitely. And Damien just brought up another good point, which was timing. Lead time on certain products like windows and doors.
Yes.
When the pandemic first hit, oh my gosh, like it was stupid crazy.
Yes.
Backed up lead times for certain items like that.
Months and months. I mean, like at one point, looking for windows, I think that most people were like 20 to 26 weeks out. That's a half a year. That's so, you know, if you were one of those people that waited to like, oh, I got 2 months out, I'll order the windows.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
But I noticed some of the lead times are coming down.
They are.
But then also, if you have a relationship with the people that you're using, a lot of times that will help.
Right.
So, I mean, that's why it's always good to have a relationship with your vendors or your subcontractors.
Yep.
And
GC.
contractors. Oh, definitely a GC because,
Yep. Because you can talk to them firsthand about what they're experiencing. In most cases, they're probably ordering product, you know, flooring and, you know, different types of finishes and whatnot, windows, doors. So they know firsthand, like, what's going on. Versus you may not have done a flip in, what, a year, 6 months or so?
Yeah.
So now you kind of have to, like, get caught up about
what's going on?
What's going on? Supply chain, you know,
supply chain
management.
It's getting a little bit better, but, you know, but then also one other thing is I always try to make sure that I found other sources that may have something in that is, it may not be the exact of what I want, but it's comparable. It's a suitable substitution.
Right.
So as long as I can get something that's a suitable substitution, I also take that into consideration. Think like, okay, well, if this isn't here by this time, I know I can go to this place and I can get a suitable sub.
Right. So having a backup plan is another benefit to having a scope of work, because now you know what you need, and if you can't get it in a certain amount of time, it's like, all right, let's go to plan B.
Let's go to plan B.
Let's go to plan C.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the biggest things is also to have a plan B and a C, and you know, having a scope of work will, you know, definitely let you have that and let you know what you can and cannot do in the time frame.
Right.
So I mean, I know some people that only they don't have backup plans. Right? See, you're laughing, but it's true. They like, no, I have to go with this. Okay, well,
right.
I think that's going to be extra 3 or 4 weeks, but okay.
Yeah.
So, but it's just one of those things that people, as you go, you'll learn that, you know, I need to have A, B, C, D, you know, plan. Because if not, what happens is your projects get pushed back, and
right.
you know, I have some projects that have, you know, where they just push back, and you think like, wow,
you're sitting because you're waiting on certain things.
And that's money.
Yeah.
When you think about like a dumpster, you have to pay for dumpsters, or if you have scaffolding or something, you know, you still have to pay for that.
Right.
Or if you have the electricity on in the house, you got to pay for those utilities.
Right.
You know,
Holding
and then
costs. Yeah.
It's that bad.
Maybe maybe you got into the property through creative finance, and the
owner
is, you know, holding a note for you. So now you're paying somebody, you know, a mortgage,
extra.
or a lease payment, or you know, you have lender where you're paying interest only fees. So everything kind of starts to add up, you know, when it comes to, you know, rehabbing a property. You got your holding costs, rehab costs. Everything is, you know, everything like that should be added to the scope of work. Down to the dumpster. You mentioned a dumpster. Dumpsters are not cheap either.
And you know, it's always the little things that sometimes you don't think about. That if you do have a scope of work, I kind of have like a template now, where, you know, okay, I can take this in. All right, I don't need that. I can leave that out. I can put this in.
Right.
So I mean, like I literally have my scope of work is really long, to be honest with you. And then I just take and, you know, to put things in and out as I need.
Right.
So it helps me. And then also it helps me not forget that, like, oh yeah, I need a dumpster. How long am I gonna need a dumpster? Oh, I probably need scaffolding because it's a 2-story, or, you know, oh, I need this because of this. So it it does help you out, and it gives you a plan, and it should help you map out everything that you do.
Yep.
But, you know, I mean, you have some people that don't use it at all, and I don't know. I mean, I don't
Some
mind.
do just fine, and others are scatterbrained. You know, like I can't do that.
I can't do it either. I have to have something somewhere to say, okay, well, this is what's going on. Because if not, I'll surely forget it.
And at a minimum, if you're not going to do a scope of work, I would say maybe create like a little checklist.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's still,
It's
still
something.
a scope of work, and it's still you're still checking the boxes to make sure you're hitting everything else.
Yeah.
So now, and I know, no matter how small, for me, no matter how small the project is or how big it is, you should have some type of scope work. Even when I'm doing, just the floor or something, I want to make sure I have the flooring.
Right.
I have the trim.
Yeah.
Because you definitely need like your thresholds and do I need glue? Do I need, maybe tap tap cons or something? Because, I'm telling you, you get there and then every time you're running back and forth to Home Depot or Lowe's.
Right.
It cuts into time and profit.
Yeah, it sure does.
Yeah. So.
And if you're going to be doing work for other investors, kind of like how you do, they want to see like what you're going to be spending.
Yeah, they want to know.
Yeah.
And how long is it going to take? And do we have everything? So, yeah.
Very well, very well. So I think we've covered scope of works.
Oh, yeah, I think
pretty thoroughly.
Hope get one. Do it. I mean, if anything, I think that's the biggest things I can say.
Yeah. And we can share ours. I think we can, screenshot it or something, put it up there so you guys can take a look at it.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about crypto. What's going on in the world of crypto?
Crypto is still following the stock market right now. And the stock market has been a little bit volatile. I'm not sure if a lot of people have noticed. I was looking at a company that are producing batteries, right?
Okay.
For new energy, for like Tesla, or they're thinking about it, that type of stuff. And the stock is down almost 70%.
Wow.
And now when you take that and you look at in the crypto, you can see that a lot of the crypto, some of it's down anywhere from 40 to 80%. So what we're starting to see is people, even though you're using crypto, people are still have that mentality that, I don't want to say scared, but nervous mentality.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we still need to keep going, taking a look at it. I was just talking to a friend of mine, and we were literally yesterday, we were just talking about like buying Shiba Inu and the Dogecoin and some of the other different altcoins because they were quite a bit reasonable now,
right,
versus what they were earlier this year. But no, none of this is financial advice. Well, I think that's about it, right? We're good for the day?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us on Monarch Mindz. I'm Damien.
And I'm Jess. We'll catch you again next Thursday.
All right. Have a good night.